In Pursuit of Truth, this is your host, Sir Patrick Mack. Boys and girls, this is the day and age of information warfare. And it looks like today we got boxes and boxes. First post, 36:07, 24 minutes after the hour of 12. And yes, that is the correct time. And yes, that is the correct date. It might be different from yours. You know why? Because we don't all live in the same time zone. We get a link right here. From Interfax Ukraine, MPs demand Zelensky, Trump investigate suspicion of U.S.-Ukraine corruption involving $7.4 billion. Ukrainian members of parliament have demanded the presidents of Ukraine and the United States, Volodymyr Zelensky and Donald Trump, investigate suspicions of the legalization of $7.4 billion by the family of ex-president Viktor Yanukovych through the American investment fund Franklin Templeton Investments, which they said has ties to the U.S. Democratic Party. At a press conference at the Interfax Ukraine agency on Wednesday, MP Andriy Derkach announced that deputies have received new materials from investigative journalists about international corruption and the participation of Ukrainian officials in it. Last week, November 14th, the Prosecutor's General's Office, unnoticed by the media, announced a new suspicion to the notorious owner of Burisma, ex-ecology minister Zlochevsky. According to the suspicion, the Yanukovych family is suspected in particular with legalizing laundering of criminally obtained income through Franklin Templeton Investments, an investment fund carrying out purchases of external government loan bonds totaling $7.4 billion, Derkach said. Now let me take you down a little further. For his part, MP Alexander Dubinsky from the Servant of the People faction said that according to investigators, the Yanukovych family illegally obtained $7.4 billion and laundered the funds through an investment fund close to some representatives of the U.S. Democratic Party in the form of external government loan bonds. Meanwhile, Derkach said that several facts indicate Franklin Templeton Investments' relationship with the U.S. Democratic Party. The son of Templeton's founder, John Templeton Jr., was one of President Obama's major campaign donors. Another fund-related character is Thomas Donilan, managing director of BlackRock Investment Institute, shareholder Franklin Templeton Investments, which has the largest share in the fund. It is noteworthy that he previously was Obama's national security advisor, Derkach said. Now, skipping you forward a little bit more here, President Zelensky must pick up the phone, dial Trump, ask for help and cooperation in the fight against corruption, and fly to Washington. The issue of combating international corruption in Ukraine with the participation of citizens, businessmen, and U.S. officials should become a key during the meeting of the two presidents, he said. Derkach said as a result of the meeting, it's necessary to build interaction between the Ukrainian investigating authorities and the U.S. Department of Justice to obtain information about the organizers of the bond issue, clients and beneficiaries of investment funds for each purchase, interrogate funds, officials, etc. Finally, let me finish you off down here. Derkach also announced the amount of money transferred to representatives of the Burisma Group, including Hunter Biden. According to documents in general, in favor of Hunter Biden, Alexander Kwasniewski, Alan Apter, and Devin Archer, Burisma paid about $16.5 million. According to Derkach, ex-prosecutor General Viktor Shokin repeatedly appealed to the NABU director Artem Sitnik in the framework of criminal proceedings for Burisma, that is the Anti-Corruption Board, the NABU, but constantly received formal responses. The activities of Shokin, according to the MP, irritated then U.S. Vice President Joe Biden during his 5th visit to Kiev in 2 years. The visit on December 7th through 8th, 2015 was devoted to solving the issue of Shokin's resignation for the affairs of Zlochevsky and Burisma, he said. Okay, so Zlochevsky, head of Burisma, now indicted. This happened a few days ago, but we're all talking about it right now because it's getting reported right now. And we're starting to see exactly how Hunter, and of course Joe Biden too, but in this particular case, Hunter Biden was essentially our go-to guy in Ukraine. Now I'm over here at Zero Hedge, and this is according to Dubinsky, and Dubinsky is the Ukraine MP. Hunter Biden's income from Burisma is a link that reveals how money is siphoned from Ukraine, and how Biden is just one link in the chain of Zlochevsky's money laundering operation, which included politicians from the previous Yanukovych administration who continued their schemes under his successor, President Pyotr Poroshenko. We will reveal the information about the financial pyramid scheme that was created in Ukraine and developed by everyone beginning with Yanukovych and later by Poroshenko. This system is still working under the guidance of the current managerial board of the National Bank, ensuring that money flows in the interest of people who stole millions of dollars, took it offshore, and bought Ukrainian public bonds, turning them into Ukrainian sovereign debt, said Dubinsky, adding that in both cases of Yanukovych and Poroshenko, Ms. Gontareva and companies she controls were investing the stolen funds. Now, this is where we start to see the Joe Biden and, of course, Obama connection, where Franklin Templeton is named. According to Interfax Ukraine, MP Andrei Derkach announced at the same press conferences that deputies had received new materials from investigative journalists alleging that the family of ex-president Yanukovych funneled $7.4 billion through American investment firm Franklin Templeton Investments, which they claim have connections to the U.S. Democratic Party, and that was the article that we just read you there. So, Templeton, BlackRock, Obama, Biden, Hunter Biden, and now Nunes wants to call in Hunter Biden. Things don't look so good for Hunter Biden. This is not likely to help. From today's Arkansas Democrat Gazette, DNA test shows Hunter Biden is father of Arkansas woman's baby.
You are the father.
DNA testing has established with scientific certainty that Hunter Biden is the father of an Arkansas baby, according to a motion filed Wednesday in Independence County on behalf of the child's mother, London Alexis Roberts. Biden, son of former Vice President Joe Biden, is not expected to challenge the results of the DNA test or the testing process, the filing states. An attorney for Hunter Biden, former Arkansas Attorney General Dustin McDaniel, did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Hunter Biden, who initially denied having sexual relations with Roberts, eventually agreed to take a DNA test, according to documents filed by Roberts' attorney, Clint Lancaster. Moving on to 3608, 18 minutes after the hour of 1, all assets, foreign and domestic, being deployed. Some who once supported POTUS, sleepers, will turn puppets and puppet masters. You have foreign and domestic, some sleepers, and puppet masters. So it's likely that we are going to see some foreign knuckleheadedry probably on U.S. soil. Wouldn't surprise me, but either way, it's going to be a bunch of messes, right? And we've seen this really, especially on things like Fox News, which has traditionally been the mainstream media version of Republican or conservative news, right? And now we're starting to see an emergence of new and old faces. Really, a lot of these are old faces. And I would say a lot of them are not to be trusted. Now, I'm not going to say those names because those are for you to decide. But you guys get the idea, right? You watch Fox News, or maybe some of you don't watch Fox News or haven't for a while. But either way, we know that MSM is MSM. It's funded by a bunch of knuckleheads that are generally globalists that don't want anything to do with actual truth coming out. They just want to put their spin on it. And now that we have a platform to actually do a little bit of that, they want to come straight after us as if we are a bunch of terrorists. Control of narrative equals control of public opinion. Control of public opinion equals power. It's always been that way. It likely always will be that way. Everything is at stake. Old guard power structure being destroyed. And remember, this is an ancient old guard. So to think that we're going to just destroy it in a matter of weeks just isn't possible. Washington Civil War, control the narrative. That's essentially what we have, right? We've got their general, which I guess right now is Adam Schiff, leading this impeachment charge, right? And of course, he's fighting tooth and nail to make sure that we don't call people like Hunter Biden or this whistleblower whose name rhymes with Gareth from Manila, You get the idea. These are people that are linchpins to these stories. If they really wanted truth out, they'd be the first one to subpoena them. They're not, and we know why. They're trying to prevent exposure of the truth. Self-preservation, that's what this is all about. Preserving themselves, fighting for survival. Information warfare. Q, let's move on. Post 3609, 48 minutes after the hour of 1. We get this link right here. Q says, these people are stupid. And it takes you to this document right here. This is a treaty between the United States and Ukraine, signed in July of 1998. I believe we talked about this once before. I know we talked about it on Twitter. And as you can see, here is the letter of transmittal from one William J. Clinton. And I just want to read the middle part right there. The treaty is one of a series of modern mutual legal assistance treaties being negotiated by the United States in order to counter criminal activities more effectively. The treaty should be an effective tool to assist in the prosecution of a wide variety of crimes, including drug trafficking offenses. The treaty is self-executing. It provides for a broad range of cooperation in criminal matters. Mutual assistance available under the treaty includes taking of testimony or statements of persons, how about that? Providing documents, records, and articles of evidence, serving documents, locating or identifying persons, transferring persons in custody for testimony or other purposes, executing requests for searches and seizures, assisting in proceedings related to restraint, confiscation, forfeiture of assets, restitution, and collection of fines, and any other form of assistance not prohibited by laws of the requested state. Okay. So this sounds like a pretty big boomerang, right? I have a feeling this was probably originally drafted to kind of protect from prosecution of all those things right there. However, it doesn't seem to be the case. Now, let's take a look down here. You can see clearly in Article 1, Scope of Assistance, the contracting states shall provide mutual assistance in accordance with the provisions of this treaty in connection with the investigation, prosecution, and prevention of offenses and in proceedings related to criminal matters. Nice! So with the same wicked irony as the Obama executive order, which essentially compels President Trump to release the FISA, we also have this treaty with Ukraine, which was likely used to help cover up knuckleheadedry, and it looks like at this point it's probably going to expose it. Ah, the irony. Q says these people are stupid, and I would tend to agree. Let's move on. Post 3610, 54 minutes after the hour of 2, we get this Twitter status right here. And it is to Fiddler Forest, at Fiddler Forest on Twitter, who tweeted at Breaking News Live. It's Breaking N Live. Just got their account suspended after posting this story. And it was regards to the head of Ukraine Burisma Gas Company indicted, Hunter Biden named accepting millions more from slush funds. So indeed, rather than passing this around and allowing BNL News, which is really kind of just, if you don't follow on Twitter, BNL News doesn't really usually go into a lot of things. They just kind of tweet the breaking story and then we'll either link you to original story or something like that. So BNL News doesn't particularly have a slant. They may, but they don't really show it a lot. Usually they're just breaking the story. But either way, just for breaking this, which we've just seen, now got their account suspended. So I think we all see what's up. And of course, Q had just talked about this. Control of narrative equals control of public opinion. Control of public opinion equals power. So the only thing they can really do at this point is essentially burn books, right? Just ban people and block them and do whatnot. And I've been warning you about it on this channel. I know a lot of other content creators have been doing the same thing. It's very possible that we could see a blackout here on YouTube. I think it's probably likely to happen at some point. So if you're not joined up on another platform, now would be a really good time to do that, because it looks like they're banning people simply just for retweeting a story. How do you control the narrative? Well, you just do that. You take it away. Information warfare, Q. Moving on. Post 3611, 3 minutes after the hour of 9, Q says, the Clinton Foundation, quid pro quo, internal alarm, how to frame or defend. And then we get this WikiLeaks link right here. And it takes you to WikiLeaks. It's an email conversation from 2015. Joel Benenson was the chief strategist worked on the Obama campaign, but worked on the Hillary 2016 campaign. I'm assuming GroomCom at AOL.com was Mandy Grunwald, communications strategist. And Jennifer Palmieri is also listed here, who was another media advisor to Hillary Clinton. John Podesta is also in here, but this is a discussion going on. You can see that some of these people are CC'd in this, but the original email seems to come from Joel Benenson, who says, agree with Jen. Also tend to agree with her going before him, and they are getting ready for a Bill Clinton interview, and they're talking about Hillary Clinton, talking about a quid pro quo. Anything other than her taking quid pro quo of the table, I think they mean off the table, included what would say first, won't take questions about her actions off the table. So there's a little back and forth here, but I want to give you the summary here from Jennifer Palmieri. First, thanks to all for the marathon session today. I thought we got a lot of good work done. Second, I wanted to follow up on HRC idea of doing the video. Having thought about it and talked to Craig and Mara about it, I don't think it's a good idea for her to do. There aren't great answers, and in many cases not her place to answer them. But I think it does make sense for her to publicly state that she never did anything at state to help a donor. Philip has been a proponent of this. She could frame it this way. Number one, very proud of Clinton Foundation work, which already would be, I can't imagine even saying that with a straight face. Think people donate to it because they want to support good works. Okay. If anyone did ever give money in hopes of influencing something state did, which is pretty much the only reason people did give money, they are foolish. Oh, you just call them all foolish, because she never did that and never would. And you remember my little lie thing I was talking about yesterday? She never did that and never would, even though she's doing it. SOS makes life and death decisions, and those kinds of political considerations don't come into play. At least this way, she will have taken off the table any notion that there was a quid pro quo, even if some donors may have had bad intentions. And of course, many donors had really bad intentions, right? We saw that from Jeffrey Epstein and half of Haiti. Anyway, thanks to Lisa Mae Crowley, who over on Twitter linked to this article here. We're not going to cover it, but she just wanted to point out this was from NBC. Here's the WJC interview referenced in the email from previous drop, number 7 from this thread. Notice how he said they never did anything knowingly inappropriate. And of course, like I said yesterday also, Bill Clinton was a master of using these kinds of words. Now, I said we're not going to cover that article, but if you are interested in that interview, it was essentially when Bill Clinton was defending his decision to take a lot of money from Saudi Arabia, was one in particular, but you can see right there 6 Western countries, and it looked like Ukraine was probably one of these. They were essentially talking about Kenya, Nairobi. They were talking about their work in Africa and the Clinton Global Initiative, which was just essentially another offshoot of this Clinton Foundation. You know how that all works. Q says, read carefully. Note, Podesta's emails, non-public, internal. So maybe we're going to get some more emails. I'm not really sure. That email, of course, now is public, but maybe there are some more. Fact, Ukraine is the single largest Clinton Foundation donor. That shouldn't surprise us. Remember, the Podesta group was representing this bank, this Sberbank, and essentially representing Viktor Yanukovych in the first place, right? So the Podesta's gotten a little bit of trouble, failing to register as a foreign agent. That was Tony Podesta, and of course, John Podesta was working in the Hillary Clinton campaign. But they were also getting money from Uranium One, right, by way of Russia, and taking in tons and tons of money. I believe it was $900,000 from Frank Don't Squeeze the Juicera, right? So sounds like there was a whole lot of quid pro quotients going on. Coincidence? I think not. Let's move on. 36:12, 26 minutes after the hour of 9. Q says, Chairman Graham, it's time.
Do it. Do it.
Senate was the target. Q. Indeed, Senate was the target all along. We didn't really think we were going to be able to grab the House anyway. But the reason why the Senate was so important, well, there were a number of reasons. We needed to be able to appoint judges and things like this, because that was really what was going to move us forward at this stage in the game. And that's why it's been so important for President Trump to appoint so many judges. And he has. Now, another thing, of course, was to defend from impeachment, because we knew that was going to be step 4 of their plan, right? And that's where we are now also. And that, of course, has fallen flat on its face. Even if they do approve this, it is going to die in the Senate. But I also think with the calling now, we are going to be seeing Horowitz coming out on the 11th. And it looks like we are going to get some of the FISA by the 9th. Lindsey Graham is pushing to get some of this information out. But in regards to all of this, we are going to need to be able to subpoena witnesses and things like that. And that is another reason why it's so important to have hold of the Senate. Now, check out what Lindsey Graham has to say.
Senator, you have talked about the calls with Biden and Poroshenko, the former president.
Right.
Well, now that we're releasing transcripts,
Right.
Any chance we can ever get those?
So here's what I'm asking for. On February the 2nd, the prosecutor raids the president's house of the gas company, right? On February the 4th, he makes a public announcement. Hunter Biden calls the State Department. On the 11th, the 18th, and the 19th of February, Joe Biden calls the president of the Ukraine. About a month later, they fire the prosecutor. This is the same guy that was urged to take action against the gas company president by the American ambassador in 2015. This doesn't add up. What was that phone call about? Why would you want to fire the guy after you prosecuted the person you said was the dirtiest person in all of Ukraine?
Okay. You mentioned to me that you have a letter going out.
Yes, to Pompeo.
What is the letter about?
I want to know, are there any transcripts or readout of the phone calls between the vice president and the president of the Ukraine in February after the raid on the gas company president's house? After this raid, Hunter Biden kicks in. Hunter Biden's business partner meets with John Kerry, and Vice President Biden on 3 occasions makes a phone call to the president of the Ukraine and goes over there in March, and they fire the guy. And this is the same man that the ambassador wanted investigated in 2015. But what happened here is that Hunter Biden's was on the board, and that changed everything.
So that letter goes out tomorrow to the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo. Oh, by the way, never called me.
He doesn't have to call you, Sean. Quit your whining. I'm over here at Dirty Truth. He's got more of this video right here talking about the FISA report. Check it out.
So you're going to have on September 11th, the Inspector General will be before your committee. I'm hoping we get a number of days and not on a Friday, a dump.
It'll be December 9th. You'll get the report.
December the 9th. That's locked.
That's locked.
Okay. That's a Monday. You'll be in your chambers on Wednesday.
This was a good day for the president because this makes no sense. What Sung
it makes sense. If you didn't like the election results in 2016, it makes sense. If you didn't get from the FBI investigation, the House Intel investigation, bipartisan Senate investigation, Mueller, what you wanted, sure, it makes sense. Let's remove them this way now and make it all up again and follow a congenital liar off the cliff again, which they did. Thank you, Senator. Great work. We appreciate what you're doing for the country.
So there you go. Lindsey Graham stating that this will be out on the 9th. The bacony, cheesy goodness. Now, I wouldn't hold your breath because we've seen the goalpost moved on this before. But the timing would be very interesting considering if that got released on the 9th. And then, of course, that certain video hosting platform that rhymes with goo lube, they're changing policy status on the 10th, the very next day, almost like they're willing to ban anybody that talks about what might get released on the 9th. Hint, hint, wink, wink. A great time to subscribe to one of my other platforms. Hint, hint, wink, wink. And then, of course, Horowitz on the 11th. So it would make sense chronologically, but like I said, I wouldn't hold your breath. However, I would count on that date on the 10th to probably go down. All right, I want to leave you with this right here. This was from me this morning. Once again, thanks to the Dirty Truth. New federal indictment against former Baltimore, Maryland mayor for tax and wire fraud charges. Check it out.
Today to announce the federal indictment of former Baltimore City Mayor Catherine Pugh on federal tax and wire fraud charges, as well as the guilty pleas of Gary Brown Jr. and Rosalind Weddington. A federal indictment has been unsealed, charging Catherine Pugh with conspiracy to commit wire fraud, 7 counts of wire fraud, conspiracy to defraud the United States, and 2 counts of tax evasion. There are many victims in this case. The victims are all of us, the taxpayers and the people of Baltimore who expect and deserve integrity from their public officials. Ms. Pugh allegedly stored quantities of fraudulently obtained Healthy Holly books at various locations, including her residence, her state legislative offices in Annapolis and Baltimore City, her mayoral office at City Hall here in Baltimore, the War Memorial Building in Baltimore, and a public storage locker used by her mayoral campaign.
Ho, ho, ho! Boxes and boxes of Healthy Holly books all over the freaking place, it looks like. Yeah, it looks like a big pile of money getting stashed all over the place from Mayor Pugh. And of course, we remember one of her biggest backers for her mayoral campaign already got what was comings to him. All right, it might be a bit too soon for that, but either way, it's good news. Those are your Q posts for now, Patriots. As always, if you like this video, please click like, share, and subscribe. Thanks to all of you who are doing that. And like I said just before, keep in mind that by the 10th, things could really change, and yours truly may not even be on this YouTube platform anymore. I'm not sure, but it's very possible. And given the context of what I just offered to you, it shouldn't be much of a surprise. So please check out my alternate links down below, because it may be the only way you can get a hold of me until we can develop another kind of solid platform and consistent platform. They're all linked down below: my Gab, my BitChute, my Real.video, which is now Brighteon.com. I'm over there on DropSpace, and of course I'm at Twitter at IPOT1776. If you are on Twitter, I highly suggest giving me a follow at IPOT1776, as we cover a lot of things that I don't normally get to on video. It's all down below in the video description. If you've got information for me, please email me. Please do not DM me on any social media. Please email me. That's down below. My P.O. box is down below if you'd like to send something old school, and if you'd like to support the channel, my Patreon is linked down below. It's all down below in the video description, right below the video that you're looking at. Just click the little see more or show more button, whatever that is, and you'll find it all there. All right, kids, this is Sir Patrick Mack. Until next time, stay pursued.